We're just getting started.
Don't miss the Streamies live Monday on youtube.com/streamies. Ahead of the November 2nd premiere of the forthcoming season of Netflix's House of Cards, some of the cast and crew spoke at The Hollywood Reporter's TV talk series Wednesday about what the sixth and final outing of the series looks like, sans one very significant character. The last season of the streamer's hit show sees Robin Wright's Claire Underwood as the first female president following the death of her husband Frank, formerly played by Kevin Spacey. The actor and executive producer was fired in the wake of sexual assault allegations, with Netflix confirming that, as in the book on which the series is based, Frank is indeed 6 feet under. Said co-showrunner Melissa James Gibson, "We didn't want to be coy about it and we didn't want to run away from it. It would have been a big mistake to in any way pretend that the character didn't exist or to erase the character somehow. Our way forward, the way we figured out the way forward, was basically to dig into the DNA of the show and honor the seeds of it and figure out what made sense as the next step." Gibson was joined on stage at New York's 92nd Street Y by executive producer Frank Pugliese and stars Robin Wright and Michael Kelly for a discussion after the screening of the season 6 premiere. Claire this season, there's a lot of reckoning. She's reckoning with her past with Francis and settling her own course in her own terms, which was happening anyway, Gibson said of Claire's rise and Frank's fall. This has been an organic progression. Season 5 ended with her looking into the camera and saying, "My turn." As Pugliese explains, that statement set up a certain level of expectations that the House of Cards team had planned to deliver on even before Spacey's firing. "We actually made a promise to the audience that that's what we would explore," he said. "So yes, we had to do another version of what this last season would be, but it was always about her turn." Production on the political drama was shut down last November after the allegations against Spacey surfaced and didn't resume until January. Ahead of the shutdown, the season was almost entirely written, sources had told THR, and until the announcement was eventually made, it wasn't always clear that the final season would go on. Wright, who is also an executive producer and director on the series, and co-star Kelly, who plays Doug Stamper, each shed some light on the behind-the-scenes fight to keep the show alive. "It was very important to give the people what they deserve, where you think, okay, we're closing this out. This is 6 years, said Wright. Kelly added, "This was Netflix's first original streaming show. We have to finish this show. For the crew that we've been with for 6 years, that we know all their families now and we're good friends with these people. To wrap it all up and to bring it to a conclusion was so important to all of us." Wright also returned to the director's chair for the series finale, explaining that having to keep my mouth shut for the last 15 years as an actor where you were bursting at the seams is what initially inspired her to direct. "It was so correct that Robin was the one to direct the finale, and she did such an incredible job, as always," said Gibson. "It's really a privilege to watch her shift hats so seamlessly. It was really beautiful because the last scene that we shot was the last scene of the series, so it felt like a play that way. We really ended at the end of the story." What the end of that story looks like, meanwhile, is of course being kept under wraps, with the panel remaining fairly tight-lipped on the subject. Pugliese did offer, however, that while there was always an idea of what the end should look like, there was never a specific ending planned until they sat down to map out the final 8 episodes. For her part, Wright described the ending as moving and generous and so macabre and so dark, saying, "The show is about the battle for position of power all the way around. So who wins? And I will say that it's so beautifully macabre. It's really beautiful." To read more on the story, head to THR.com. For the Hollywood Reporter News, I'm Lindsay Rodriguez.